Well, you're about to begin your jury trial in a justice of the peace or municipal court. So who will be on your jury and how will they be selected? Jury selection is considered by many to be the most important part of a case, and it is necessary for you to prepare in advance. The first step to winning your case is to find out which jurors may not be able to give you a fair chance or might favor the other side. And this way you can remove those people from the group. This will help ensure that only the more fair-minded people remain, and they will be the ones who get to serve on the jury to rule on your case. This process of elimination has caused some to say that jury deselection would actually be a better name than jury selection. So, how do you go about figuring out which potential jurors may not be fair? Well, by asking them questions. You and your opponent will each have a turn to ask questions to the group of potential jurors. You can use those answers to decide whether you believe they will be able to be fair and to give you the benefit of the doubt. If not, you have a chance to strike or remove them from the jury in a process that's going to be explained shortly. Each potential juror is going to be assigned a number, usually from 1 to 25. The first 6 remaining jurors after strikes will be the final jury on your trial. This means that jurors numbered 1 through 12 have a much greater chance of hearing your case than jurors numbered 13 to 25. So you may wish to pay more particular attention to those jurors. Jurors are asked to answer questions about their age, their education, and their job before they come to court, and that information will be provided to you when you arrive for your trial. Read it carefully and make note of any juror who has experiences related to your case. For example, if your case is about an eviction or about repairs, and you see that the juror's current employer is an apartment complex, you may wish to ask that juror if they could be fined in favor of a tenant, or if they will be biased in favor of a landlord. It's a good idea to make a numbered list or a chart ahead of time. This way you can quickly record their answers and make notes on which jurors you think may or may not be good for your case. This will help you to choose those jurors to ask questions of and which jurors should be struck. Remember, jurors with numbers 1 through 12 are more likely to serve on a trial than jurors with higher numbers. In the courtroom, the jurors are going to be seated in rows in numerical order. They may be wearing a tag with a number, or they may have a paddle that shows their number. When it's your turn to ask them questions, you are allowed to stand up and face them. You can ask a question to everyone all at once. For example,
please raise your hand if you have ever rented an apartment.
Please raise your hand if you ever rented an apartment and it wasn't in the best condition when you entered the place.
Please raise your hand if you believe a contract should be followed once it's signed.
you can ask a question to simply one juror at a time. Here's an example.
Juror number 6, you raised your hand when I asked if you had ever been in a car wreck. Were you a driver or a passenger in that collision?
I was the driver.
Whose fault was the wreck?
Oh, it was the guy who hit me.
You can expect to be given a time limit for your turn to ask questions, and the amount of time will vary by judge. As a general rule, be prepared to get anywhere from between 5 and 20 minutes to ask your questions. In order to best use your time, it's a good idea to prioritize your list of questions. Identify 1 or 2 most important questions and make sure those are at the top of your list. What kinds of questions should you ask the jury? Remember, jurors are normal people with opinions and ideas of their own. You can ask jurors about their beliefs, experiences, and jobs relevant to the facts of your case. Asking questions will demonstrate to the jurors that you are prepared and you're taking the case seriously. This is important, as many potential jurors may believe that you are wasting their time or exaggerating your claims. The questions you ask should be based on the facts of your case and on what you are trying to prove or deny. A good place to start is to find out if any jurors have ever been involved in a situation like yours. You may want to know if they or a close member of their family work in a field that is related to your case. And this will let you know if that juror has any experience or training that could affect how they view your case. In other videos, we will go over sample jury selection questions for each of these types of cases, these which are commonly heard in justice and municipal courts: evictions, car wrecks, negligence, a breach of contract, and a return of personal property after a relationship ends. If you believe that a juror will not be fair to you or that they may have a bias against your case, you are allowed to remove them from serving. As mentioned earlier, removing a person from the potential jury pool is called a strike. And there are two different types of strikes: strikes for cause and a peremptory strike or a free strike. You're allowed to strike for cause when the judge agrees, but you only get 3 free strikes. You can strike a juror for cause if they say that they cannot fairly follow the law or the facts. Some jurors may be unable to serve if they know anyone at the hearing and if they will be biased for or against that person as a result. Always ask if the jurors know someone in the room and if their knowledge of that person will impact their ability to be fair.
Does anyone here know the defendant in this case? Juror number 7, how do you know the defendant?
We've been friends for about 5 or 6 years now, and we're pretty close.
Oh, so would that impact your ability to be fair towards me in this case?
I'd like to say it wouldn't, but probably it would.
Oh, thank you.
Keep in mind that simply knowing someone who's involved in the case is not enough to strike for cause. You must also establish that their knowledge will impact their ability to be fair in your case. Other jurors may express an unwillingness to follow the law. If any juror says that they could not find in your favor because of prior experiences or training, you should ask the judge to strike that juror for cause. The judge will be the final decision maker. Remember, strikes for cause do not count against your 3 free strikes. Here are some examples of juror responses that might warrant a strike for cause.
Has anyone here ever worked in property management or been a landlord? Juror number 4, can you explain to me your involvement in property management or being a landlord?
Well, I've worked in property management for about 15 years, and after all the things I've seen, I mean, I would never believe a tenant over a landlord.
Not in any case whatsoever?
No, they're always lying.
Thank you.
Does anyone here have a religious bias that would prevent them from being a fair juror in this case? Juror number 6.
Well, my religion says it's not okay to judge other people.
And what religion is that?
Jehovah's Witness?
Now, when you're saying judging people, does that mean regarding their morality and going to heaven, or judging people in general?
I mean, there's kind of a mix, but mostly morality.
Okay, so if we were to present you the law, and the law specifically states one way or the other whether or not someone should go one way or the other on that, would you be able to follow the law in that case?
I guess it depends on what the law says, but probably.
Okay. Appreciate you sharing that with me. Thank you.
Remember, though you have 3 free strikes, you cannot strike someone for their race, their gender, their religion, their place of origin. For example, you may strike a juror who gives you a bad feeling, who doesn't smile while you're talking, or who has a job history that you think prevents them from hearing your facts fairly. You don't have to explain why you're striking the jurors, but you are limited just to 3 free strikes. And remember that the first 6 remaining jurors will be the ones who end up on your jury panel. And so jurors numbered 1 through 12 have a much greater chance of being selected. You may not want to use your 3 free strikes on a higher numbered juror that has a lower chance of being reached. Remember, what you're doing is really more of a deselection process than a selection. Both you and your opponent are focusing on finding people that you don't want on the jury. And for this reason, you'll probably want to focus on questions that help you figure out which potential jurors would be most likely to agree with your side of the case. Think about who would make a bad juror for you in your case. Who wouldn't like you? Who wouldn't see things your way? Who is likely to favor your opponent? Are there any biases that people might have against you? You should ask questions of jurors to determine if they would be unfair or biased against the facts of your case. And you should strike the 3 jurors who are least likely to take your side. You should also think about who would make a good juror on your case. Who would agree with you? Who might see things from your point of view? Who wouldn't like your opponent? You may not want to ask questions to those jurors to avoid your opponent striking them.